these videos, I'm trying to answer the questions I get the most. And probably one of the biggest questions I get is, how do I determine my shoulder width on my garment? Now, I want you to keep something in mind. When you look in a mirror, yes, you're looking at your beautiful face, but you're also looking in this area, okay? And when you look in this area, when your shoulder is not correct, or when you have a lot of gathers in that sleeve area, you are not happy. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't be happy either. So I'm going to show you how to determine your shoulder width. I know a bunch of you say to me, oh, I have these little tiny shoulders and this big bust. That's fine. If you have little tiny shoulders and a big bust, that's fine. But you need to know where your shoulder is. Now, I have an issue, and a lot of ladies do have this issue. I have large upper arms. And when I say upper arms, I don't mean here. I mean right here. So I'm going to kind of hold this up and show you. Stay away from the tape measure because you don't want to measure your shoulder. You want to do a visual on your shoulder. So let me hold this. This might be even easier. If I hold this next to my neck, okay, can you see that the tip where the green is, that's the edge of my shoulder, all right? That's where God gave me that shoulder. Now, this part of you, it doesn't change. It doesn't matter how much weight you gain or how much weight you lose. This part doesn't change. And most women that I run into are really tiny from here to here. Broad across their back maybe, but still tiny right here. So this is what you're going to do. You are going to make the garment according to the size that you need. You're going to cut it out. You're going to sew the shoulders together, and then you're going to put it over your head. And you're going to look in a mirror because you are your best dress form. You're right there in front of yourself. So you're going to look in the mirror and you are going to draw on your garment where it would look good that you put the sleeve in. Now let's go back 1 second and let me tell you that a lot of this depends on the fabric you're using. So if you're making a jacket, you need that sleeve to hang down perfectly straight. So in my shoulder, where God gave me my shoulder, and I'll put this out here like this. Can you see this? I really set my shoulder seam where the shoulder and the sleeve are sewn together. I set it out just a little bit further so that sleeve will hang. Now, one of the problems is because most of you will take that shoulder and keep drawing the armhole. When you do that, you wind up with the armhole seam on your sleeve or on your arm, not on your body. And that armhole seam needs to be on your body, okay? A lot of times if your seam winds up on your arm and you do this, you think it's too tight. It's not too tight. The seam is in the wrong place. So your back is probably different than your front. So let's kind of figure this out together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take chalk. I've made the garment. I'm going to take chalk or I'm going to take a marker, whatever you're more comfortable with, or you could even take painter's tape. So I'm going to pull this up so you can see this a little bit better, and you can see that I have literally marked on this. So you're going to stand in front of a mirror and you're going to draw on yourself, or as I said, use painter's tape. If you're going to use painter's tape, again, look in the mirror. If you're going to use painter's tape, you want the edge of the tape to be where you want the seam to be. And I don't care if it goes in like this. It doesn't matter. That's your body. Your back isn't like that, but your front definitely is. And we want that just a little more tailored. So if you look at what I drew here, you can see that it's much wider as I go down the armhole. That would look better on the person that I drew this on. Not necessarily on this dress form, but this dress form doesn't have an arm. So not necessarily on the dress form, but on the person that I drew this on. So you need to draw this on yourself. Now I'm going to put this jacket back on to show you that the width of the seam at the shoulder is a little bit wider on this jacket than it would be on a basic t-shirt. But can you see that everything is laying perfectly straight? I can feel that seam on my body and not on my sleeve. Now, if you think about that, that you've probably been there before and had that issue. On the pattern itself, you have 4 shoulder widths here, 4 of them. If you're not sure, and just say that you're pretty large busted, use the widest one. You can always take it off afterwards. Remember, when you draw on your body or when you draw on your garment, you have to have a seam allowance. So where you're seeing this black mark on the dress form, that would be where the seam is. And that's how you want to mark yours. So make your shoulder width really good and you're going to have a gorgeous garment.